During a visit to an antique store, Rachel found a peculiar piece of gold. It turned out that the man who brought it to the shop mentioned it had once belonged to a pirate named Captain Benedict Jameson. He said he had hidden the rest of his treasures on an island. The map was hidden inside a cave that was located on a beach on the same island, but no one has managed to find the treasure yet. Rachel was intrigued, so she called her friend Jeremy and convinced him to set sail there to search for this treasure. After weeks of sailing, they arrived at the island and looked for the cave first. Can you spot it? Here it is. Three different paths within the cave led to the map. Which one should they choose? Notice the blinking eyes of a wild animal waiting for its prey in the shadows of the second path? There is a rather large spider web blocking the third path. That must only mean there's a large spider that made it. So, the safest option is the first path. They arrived at the end of the cave and found 3 wooden boxes. Each had a different map on it. Only one map will lead them to the treasure. Which map should they choose? The area that the first map shows is surrounded by trees. The second map shows an area surrounded by the ocean. The area on the third map is surrounded by mountains. So, since they're on an island, they should choose the second map. On the back of the treasure map, they found a message written by Captain Benedict himself.
Congratulations, traveler. You've picked the correct map. Now you're a step closer to finding the rest of my wealth. But I warn you, the journey ahead won't be simple. You'll have to solve every riddle that I have for you, and only then will you be able to find my treasure.
According to the map, they had to enter the forest. Captain Benedict left another riddle on the map about it.
My friend will accompany you from here on, but first, you have to find the tree that it lives on. Look for a fruitful palm tree. If you try to bite the fruit I'm talking about, you'll break your teeth. I guarantee.
Take a look around. Which tree do you think that the captain is talking about? Some of these trees don't have any fruit at all, so none of them can be the tree the captain mentioned. These trees have bananas on them, but you won't break your teeth if you eat bananas. Then it must be this tree with coconuts, because you'll definitely break your teeth if you try to bite a coconut. When they got closer to the tree, they noticed an engraving on it. It said,
"Look up and find my friend Jonathan the monkey. Take him with you on your journey, because he knows where I hid the key."
Then Rachel and Jeremy looked up and saw 3 monkeys. Which monkey do you think Jonathan is? Notice that the third monkey is holding the same piece of gold as the one Rachel found at the antique store. This guy must have access to the treasure, so he must be Jonathan. Rachel and Jeremy tried taking Jonathan with them, but he refused to even move. How do you think they can convince Jonathan to come with them? Luckily, there's banana trees around, so they should just give him a banana to gain his trust. Jeremy wanted to climb one of the banana trees to pick a banana, but they were all very tall, and it seemed impossible to climb any of them. However, Rachel suddenly burst with excitement after seeing something that would help Jeremy. What did Rachel see? Take a closer look at the trees. One of them has an old rope ladder attached to it. Jeremy can climb up there to get a banana. After Jeremy had picked a banana, Jonathan the monkey got down from the tree to get it. While he was eating his banana, Rachel and Jeremy felt hungry and decided to take a break to eat something too. However, when they reached for the food in their bags, everything was gone. Can you guess what happened? Did you notice something strange as Jeremy was climbing the tree? Let's rewind a bit to show you what happened. The monkeys were stealing all the food from Jeremy and Rachel's bags. Rachel and Jeremy had nothing else to eat other than the bananas off of the trees. But when Jeremy tried to climb up the rope ladder again, the rope broke. Now that they wouldn't be able to pick any bananas, they had to find something else to eat. They walked around and came across a waterfall. Rachel suggested that they catch some fish. Jeremy then caught 3 different fish, but only one of them was safe to eat. Can you tell which one? They should eat the first fish because the second fish has spikes on it, so it's not suitable to eat. The third fish isn't real. It's electronic. It has small cameras instead of eyes. They fell asleep after eating, trying to figure out where the electronic fish came from. The next morning, when Jeremy woke up, he realized that Rachel was gone. Then they heard a man's voice. Jeremy couldn't figure out where it was coming from, but Jonathan the monkey pointed to the electronic fish. The voice said,
I have your friend. Answer this riddle of mine if you want to see your friend again. There's a one-story house in which everything is green. Green walls, green doors, green furniture. What color are the stairs?
Since it's only a one-story house, there aren't any stairs in it. Suddenly, the waterfall stopped flowing, and the cave appeared behind it. The voice said,
Enter.
Inside, an evil scientist was waiting for Jeremy. He said that he was going to give him a chance to save his friend. He took Jeremy to a water tank with 3 different creatures in it. The scientist said,
One of these creatures is Rachel, but the other 2 are not human at all. I will free your friend if you can guess correctly which one she is.
Take a closer look at the second creature. There are definitely human legs covered with seaweed. That must be Rachel. The evil scientist set Rachel free, but didn't let them leave the cave just yet. He showed them 3 gates. If they choose the right one, they'll be free to go. Behind the first gate, hundreds of poisonous snakes are waiting. Behind the second gate, there is a vicious vampire. Behind the third gate, there is a pack of hungry wolves. Which door should they choose? They should choose the second door. It's morning outside, the sun is shining bright, and vampires can't survive the sun. After Rachel, Jeremy, and Jonathan got free, they got back on the trail following the map and arrived at the side of a cliff. There were 3 different bridges in front of them from which they could walk across to the other side. Which bridge should they choose? The wooden bridge looks very old. It won't be able to hold their weight. Even though the metal bridge looks sturdy, it's very narrow and it has no railings. They might lose their balance and fall. So, they should choose the glass bridge. As they continued their journey, they walked into a swamp without noticing, and they got stuck in it. There were 3 ropes hanging from a tree, with which they could pull themselves out. Which rope should they choose? The first and the third rope are no ropes at all. One of them is a snake and the other is a tiger's tail, so they should choose the second rope. After they saved themselves from the swamp, they were finally able to make it to the last destination that was marked on the map. There was a trap door in the ground. They had to go through it, but it was locked with a 5-letter combination padlock. However, Captain Benedict left a clue on how to unlock it in his notes, and the clue was 3, 8, 5, 19, 20. What do you think it means? Each number represents its respective letter in the alphabet. The third letter of the alphabet is C. The 8th letter is H. The 5th letter is E. The 19th letter is S. And the 20th letter is T. So the passcode is the word chest. Once they opened the door, they saw a staircase leading to an underground room. When they entered it, they found 3 different chests. Only one of them holds the treasure. Which one is it? Can you see the ants coming in and out of the first chest carrying small pieces of food? And a sticky, slime-like substance is oozing from the third chest. It must be filled with whatever that is. But there is a golden reflection coming from the second chest. That can only mean the gold is in there. They left the room with the treasure chest. However, the chest was locked, and the map didn't have any more notes or directions on it. Jonathan started pulling Rachel's shirt as if he wanted to say something. Then, she remembered Captain Benedict's previous note.
My friend Jonathan the monkey knows where I hid the key.
So she and Jeremy started following Jonathan. They arrived at a beautiful garden with 3 statues. Each statue was holding a key, and only one of them would open the treasure chest. Which one should they choose? Take a closer look at the treasure chest. The lock of the chest has a little emerald on it. The first key has a ruby on it. The second key is decorated with an amethyst. And the third key has an emerald on it. Since it matches the lock, this must be the key they should choose. Are you ready to dive into sci-fi madness? Let's go! Somewhere in outer space, a show has just begun on a giant asteroid. A glowing star guy is reading poetry. His viewers are little stone people. The artist is saying beautiful words with passion. He puts his heart and soul into the performance. He's finishing. A shining tear is rolling down his cheek. He bows to the audience, but no one is clapping. In fact, they don't react at all. Why? Because this is outer space. There's no sound here. Somewhere in the vast valleys of Mars, races on rovers are taking place. 5 cars are driving at high speed toward the finish line. 3 racers soon leave the others behind, but only one of them will be the winner. Take a look at the dashboard of each of the drivers. Try to figure out who will be the first to come to the finish line. The speedometer arrow on the first rider's dashboard shows the maximum speed, but he won't win because the fuel indicator is flashing. The second racer seems to be fine, but look at the mirror. No one is reflected there. The car is moving without a driver. The third driver will win. Each of these 3 friends is going on a journey. They have already packed their suitcases and filled the tanks of their spaceships. This guy says he wants to visit Neptune. That girl is going to check on her friends who live on Mars. This man is flying to Venus. Which of them is lying? Venus is very close to the sun. It's a scorching hot place. And this man is wearing warm clothes. He's probably lying. "Show me your hands!" The head of the Department of Extraterrestrial Beings screams. 3 detainees are sitting at the table. One of them is not human. Look at their hands. Who do you think is an imposter from another planet? Yeah, this guy has 6 fingers, but there are people on Earth who have such hands. Look at this girl. She has shining green eyes. Apparently, she's not from our planet. 3 wanderers are walking on the dark side of the moon. They're tired and lost. Fortunately, a rescue spaceship spots them. The travelers beg to take them on board, but there is only one seat. The first wanderer carries a heavy box with meteorite rocks. He's tired and can no longer walk with this load. The second guy carries nothing, but he looks sick. The third wanderer says he's exhausted because he's extremely thirsty. He hasn't drank for 2 days. Who really needs help? Gravity is much weaker on the moon than on Earth, so the first wanderer's box should be quite light. He just pretends to be tired. The third wanderer has a chance to get some water. Do you see a small rescue station in the distance? H2O is written on it, so he can find water there. But the second wanderer really needs help. The indicator on his spacesuit signals a low oxygen level. The inhabitants of Planet Quest love adventures. Their favorite place is a dangerous park on a desert planet near a black hole. So one guy named Lup goes there. He needs to try to survive there for 1 week. As soon as he arrives at the park, he comes across a space cockroach that has 6 heads. The cockroach jumps on Lup and bites him with one of its heads. Lup fights off the monster and gets back to the ship. The bite is venomous, but fortunately, Lup has an antidote. First, he needs to drink 1 pill that contains medicine, and after that, a catalyst that activates the cure. Then, Lup needs to repeat it 2 hours later. But the problem is the pills with the medicine and catalyst look similar, and Lup has mixed them in his pocket. He can't take 4 tablets at once because it's dangerous, so how can he separate them? Lup needs to crush all the pills and divide the powder into 2 equal parts. One is for now, and the other he'll swallow 2 hours later. There will be the same amount of catalyst and antidote in each part. You're on planet Veveki, in the Purple Pencil Nebula. Right now you're wandering through a dark forest. The trees are covered with pieces of toilet paper instead of leaves. You know you have company in the woods, a werewolf. You come to a rocky cliff and see 3 bridges leading to the other side of the forest. There are people on every bridge. Which one is the werewolf? It can be anybody, but it doesn't matter. No one can turn into a werewolf since there's no full moon here. This is not Earth, remember? A dwarf planet illuminates the sky. Welcome to the moon again. Right now, you witness the most incredible jumping competition. Thanks to the weak gravity on Earth's natural satellite, athletes can jump really high. But which of them will jump the highest? The participants put on their spacesuits and walk out of the atmospheric station. They seem to be ready. 3, 2, 1, jump! And we see the winner. She's jumped much higher than her opponents. But wait, there's something wrong here. This participant is not worthy of the title of the winner. She cheated. But how did you understand that? It's a hologram. All the participants left footprints on the ground after jumping and landing. But this girl has left no traces, which means she's not real. On the shore of Molten Gum, far away from the village of Talking Stones, there's a big house. This building is different from all others in this neighborhood, since it exists in 2-dimensional space. The owner is a rich architect, Mr. Ali Lee Bulb. who has just woken up after a 90,000-second nap. He finds a broken diamond banana in the kitchen. Mr. Ali Lee Bulb gets angry and calls everyone who was in the house while he was sleeping. He's going to find out who broke his amazing piece of jewelry. Big closed eye, cardboard giraffe with glasses, and three-headed pelican come into the living room.
Tell me who broke the banana.
Mr. Ali Lee Bulb says, "I didn't do that. I was visiting rich old people in their dreams," Big closed eye tells him.
I was watching the Liquid Laughter 3D movie in the living room all this time,
The giraffe says.
I have no idea who I am and what's going on here. I haven't touched your banana,
said one of the pelican's heads. Mr. Ali Lee Bulb immediately realizes who's lied to him. And you? It's Cardboard Giraffe. He couldn't watch a 3D movie since the house only exists in 2 dimensions. It happened on a dark night on a purple planet. A fluffy snake crawled into the house where a purple guy was sleeping. It bit him, and the purple guy decided to go to a hospital. He told the doctor everything. She looked at the guy attentively and told him the snake hadn't been venomous. How did she know that? It was 3:45 a.m. on the clock in the guy's room. Now it's 11:45 p.m. on the clock in the examination room. The purple guy has spent almost a day trying to get to the hospital. So far, nothing bad has happened to him, which means the snake was not poisonous. The king of a tiny planet has no heirs. But then, who will become the ruler of this world? To choose the best candidate, the king gives every inhabitant 1 seed. Whoever grows the most beautiful flower will get the planet, the king tells them. Come back in 2 months. 2 months later, everyone came back with beautiful flowers. Among hundreds of candidates, there was one girl with an empty pot, and her brother with the most beautiful flower. The king said they would rule the planet. Why them? All the seeds were fake, and the girl didn't want to deceive the king by replacing the seed. Meanwhile, her brother put a lot of effort into growing the most beautiful plant to achieve his goal. Rain falls upward in this world, cars move backward, broken glass repairs itself, pens erase words from paper, chickens hide back in the egg at the end of their life. So you get it, time runs backward here. But something is wrong in this world. What is it? Try to look beyond the picture you've just seen before answering. The correct answer is my voice. It's not reversed. Space monsters are chasing you inside an abandoned space station somewhere at the edge of a faraway galaxy. They're stretching their toothy tentacles towards you. Fortunately, you manage to jump into a rescue ship and get out of there. Suddenly, you realize that the ship has no brakes. There's an asteroid belt to your left. A small black hole is on the right, and a red star is in the middle. Which way should you choose? None of these. Don't forget that you can also fly up or down. You're in outer space. It's raining diamonds every day on this planet. The rays of the closest star that warms this world contain gold particles. Banknotes grow on trees. Seas glow green because the water is filled with emeralds. Despite all this wealth, people don't want to live here. Why? Gold particles in the air can damage human lungs within seconds. Money trees don't produce oxygen, and there are no fish in the water because of the emeralds. Anna runs a chocolate factory. She offers all her clients a special deal. Anyone can exchange 5 chocolate wrappers for 1 chocolate bar. Robert spent 2 weeks collecting the wrappers and managed to find 77.
Yeah.
Can you tell what maximum number of chocolates he can get from Anna? Robert can get a total of 19 chocolates. Here's how it works. First of all, 77 wrappers can be exchanged for 15 chocolates with 2 wrappers left. After unwrapping the new 15 chocolate bars, Robert will be able to exchange 15 wrappers for 3 more chocolates. Now he can use the remaining 2 wrappers and the new 3 wrappers to get 1 chocolate bar. 15 plus 3 plus 1 equals 19.
Oh, yeah.
Henry is an astronaut from Earth. He landed his spaceship on another planet in an unknown galaxy and began to explore the city and its citizens. Very soon, Henry felt a desperate need to go to the restroom, but when he saw these 2 doors leading to the ladies' and gentlemen's bathrooms, he got really confused. The problem is that Harry doesn't speak the local language, and he can't ask which door is for men and which is for women. Thankfully, he met a local guy, Mo, who could understand English. But he can speak only his native language. What 2 questions should Henry ask to figure out the right door? He should point at one of the doors and ask, "Is this the men's restroom?" Then he needs to remember Mo's reply and ask, "Am I a man?" If Mo says the same word, then the restroom Henry is pointing at must be for men. And if Mo says a different word, the restroom is for women. There were 9 candies in a box. 9 people took 9 candies, but 1 candy is still in the box. How can it be possible? It's pretty simple. The last person took a candy and the box. This way, 1 candy remained in the box. On a cold night, 4 friends were roaming around the neighborhood. At one point, they tried to get under one umbrella, but the umbrella was too small. However, all 4 of them managed to stay dry. How can that be possible? It's possible because it wasn't raining. Meet Erica and Jim. Do you have any idea why he pushed her? Because they're shooting a movie. Do you see that cameraman reflected in the window? Billy organized a betting game for his friends. According to the rules, he will place 2 candies, 1 yellow and 1 red, in a dark box. If the player picks the red candy, they will get $5,000. But if they pick the yellow candy, they will have to pay $500. Unfortunately, Billy's a liar. He put 2 yellow candies in the box instead of 1 yellow and 1 red. Billy's friend Wendy watched the players losing the game one by one. But when it was Wendy's turn, she won $5,000. How did she do it? She picked a candy and, without showing it to anyone, ate it. Then she picked the remaining candy, which was yellow, and showed it to everyone. Billy had to admit that the first candy had been red. Otherwise, everyone would find out he was a liar. Nina went speed dating and met 3 handsome guys. The next day, each of the guys asked her out. Can you help Nina make the best choice? Brad didn't even ask the girl if she wanted to go to the restaurant or not. Besides, he's pretty rude and bossy. She barely knows Rob. It's not safe to go to his place alone, so Nina should choose David. He looks nice and polite.
Hello.
Amy has 2 strings. The only thing she can say for sure is that when you light one end of either string, it takes exactly 1 hour to burn. Can you help Amy measure 45 minutes with the help of the strings? She should light both ends of the first string and one end of the second string. In 30 minutes, the first string will have burned completely. To measure the remaining 15 minutes, she should light the second end of the second string. When it's fully burned, we'll know for sure that 45 minutes have passed. Adam is a famous opera singer. He's going to perform for the king and queen for 7 days in a row. In return for his work, they should pay him 1/7 of a gold bar per day. Adam doesn't accept prepayments. He requires a daily payment, which is 1/7 of a gold bar. What's the fewest number of cuts they should make to be able to pay Adam each day? Just 2. Here's how it works. Day 1, cut 1/7 of the gold bar and give it to Adam. Day 2, cut 2/7 of the gold bar and give this piece to Adam. He'll give you 1/7 of the bar back. Day 3, give the singer the 1/7 piece you received the previous day. Day 4, give Adam 4/7 of the gold bar and he will give you the 1/7 and 2/7 pieces as change. Day 5, give Adam the 1/7 part of the bar. Day 6, give him the 2/7 piece and get the 1/7 one as change. And finally, Day 7, give Adam his final 1/7 piece of the gold bar. Jenny and Sam arrived at a picturesque campground. They had to set up a tent. There were 3 good spots: in the forest, in the field, and near the lake. Which place should they opt for? The best option is to choose the field. Wild animals live in the forest. As for the lake, look, a zombie is hiding in the bushes over there. Probably not the best neighbor. George was walking down the street. Suddenly, a wizard popped out of nowhere and teleported George to his castle. He offered the guy to choose between these 3 doors. There's a hungry tiger behind the first door. There's an angry dinosaur behind the second door. And the room behind the third door is filled with toxic gas. Which door should George choose? The second one. Dinosaurs went extinct millions of years ago. Jerry has an apple tree. The number of apples on his tree doubles every week. After 30 weeks, the tree is completely covered with fruit. Can you guess how many weeks the tree needs to get half covered with oranges? Oranges don't grow on apple trees, but if I asked you about apples, the answer would be 29 weeks. Because, as we know, the number of apples doubles every week. In the ocean, there's an island. On the island, there's a house. In the middle of the house, there's a glass of water. Inside the glass of water, there's a coin. What's in the middle of the ocean? The correct answer is simple, the letter E. Harry went to a party. He liked these 4 ladies. He wanted to talk to one of them. Which one should he choose? Take a look at the first lady's hand. She's a zombie. The second lady has a vampire bite on her neck. She can turn into a vampire any minute and ruin the date. And the fourth lady is a ghost. So Harry should go and talk to the third lady.
Hello.
Detective Thomas received a call from Holly. She said, "Please come over. I got robbed. It happened so fast. I left my purse in the backseat of the car. When I stopped at the traffic light, someone opened the door and snatched my purse." Detective Thomas hit the road and rushed to the crime scene. But when he saw Holly, he realized that she was a liar right away. How? Holly has a 2-door car. How could a thief steal something from the back seat? There are 3 houses. One of the houses seems very weird. Can you tell which one of them looks suspicious? Look at the footprints. They lead to and from houses 1 and 3, so people come and go from those houses. As for the second house, the footprints only lead in one direction, inside. People come in, but they never go out. Take a look at this messy floor. Can you count the number of laptops that you can charge with the help of these extension leads? The cord of extension lead 3 is torn. As for the second lead, one of its outlets is broken. Extension lead 4 has only one outlet, which makes the entire thing pretty useless. and extension lead 6 doesn't have any cable at all. Now let's see what we can do about it. Connect extension lead 1 to the wall outlet. Then connect extension lead 2 to extension lead 1. This way, you can use 2 outlets from the first extension lead to charge 2 laptops. One outlet of extension lead 2 can be used to connect the 5th extension lead, and one of them is useless anyway. Now we can use 2 outlets from extension lead 2 and all 4 outlets of the 5th extension lead to charge 6 laptops. So the total number of outlets in use will be 8. Simple! Danny and Diana are spouses. They jog in the park every morning. To match every 2 steps Danny makes, Diana needs to take 3 steps. If both of them start with the right foot, how many steps would they make before their left feet are in the front at the same time? They'll never reach that goal. Here's how it'll go. I'm a 5-letter word under you. Remove the first letter and I'm above you. Remove the second and I'm around you. Who am I? Well, have you managed to crack this riddle? It's a chair. Great job! You're the headmaster of a fun sciences school. Today is the final day of the semester. You have to handle all upcoming problems and make sure all the students will pass the difficult exams. All teachers except for the professor of memology are waiting in their classrooms. You walk through the school corridors, greet the students, and go to your office. You have a separate drawer where you put all the keys to all the school doors. You throw the office key there, sit down at the table, and notice that some documents have disappeared. Someone has stolen the answers to a video games test. But how did they get into your office? The door and windows were closed. Take a look at the ventilation gate. It's slightly open. Apparently, one of the students broke in there early in the morning. Your secretary is knocking on the door. You say that you're busy and ask to come later. Then, you sit down at your computer, open YouTube, and watch funny videos. The internet signal disappears. Someone has turned off the electricity at the school. You go to the basement with generators. There, you see a turned-off switch and 3 people standing next to it. They all say they didn't touch anything, but one of them is lying. The janitor says the lights went out when he came here to clean up. Louise is a new student. She says she was lost in the building and accidentally got here. Richard is a last-year graduate. He came here to find a miniature toy horse, a souvenir he hid many years ago. Which one of them is lying? The janitor has a bucket and mop, so he's not lying. You see a horse in the corner of the room, so Richard is telling the truth. Louise is a liar. She said she's new, but it's the end of the semester. She can't be new at this time. You're the headmaster, and you would know in advance if there was a new student at your school. Louise admits she turned off the electricity to disrupt the sleep science exam. You turn the power back on and go to the dining room to have breakfast. You order coffee, sit down at the table, and meet an angry chef. He says that one of the students poured a bag of sugar into a pot of soup. You're looking around the room. Who do you think did this among all these guys? They all have deep plates with soup and spoons, but this guy has a plate with a fork. He wouldn't eat the soup because he knew it tasted disgusting. You finish your coffee and head to the office. You walk through a long corridor and see graffiti on a huge photo of a crazy dog, a mascot of the school. The guard catches 3 students. One of them must have ruined the image. Can you guess who did it? Here's a guy hiding his hands. Indeed, there are traces of paint on them. You're walking through the internet history room where an exam has just started. There's silence in the audience. Students are writing a test, but one of them is cheating. Find them. Look at this girl. A wire stretches from her sleeve to her ear. Someone is giving her the right answers through her headphones, and that guy is looking at the answers written on his leg. Someone activates the alarm. All students run out of the school. You make sure that everyone is outside. You head to the exit and notice there is no flame anywhere. You can't even smell the smoke. Someone turned on the alarm to disrupt the exams. You catch 3 students. One of them is guilty. But who? Alex says he was in the toilet when the panic started. Amanda was taking a meme test. Luke was sleeping in the dining room. Which one of them is lying? Amanda turned on the siren. The memology professor isn't there, remember? So she obviously wasn't taking that test today. You go outside and meet the school gardener. He says that someone has cut the roses in the schoolyard. The gardener saw 3 people who could be suspects. You bring them into the yard and ask about roses. Lewis says he was in the library all day. Mary was taking an exam on internet history. John was training at the gym. Which one of them is lying? Look at Lewis. His sleeves are torn. Roses have thorns. He probably damaged the shirt when he was cutting the flowers off. You pass by the dining room and hear some strange noises. Someone is obviously tired and breathing heavily. You look inside and see 2 guys at the table. They're arm wrestling. One of them looks angry and aggressive. He's shaking his hand and trying his best. The other is calm. Who do you think will win? The guy on the right. He holds onto the edge of the table and doesn't waste his strength on unnecessary movements. He will defeat the angry opponent. You enter the trends room. You heard a lot about this subject and a young teacher who has a unique approach to the science of popularity. She tells you that she has asked all her students to create a new profile in the social network for their pets at the beginning of the semester. Now, all the students must show the number of subscribers and likes. The one who has the most popular profile will get a high score on the exam. Students show photos of their pets: mini pig, hamster, cat, goldfish, chameleon, dog, goose, hamster, raccoon. All the photos are pretty popular, but 2 of them are fake. Which ones? The hamsters. 2 students have identical photos. They must have found those online. You're observing a pseudo-philosophy exam. The teacher gives blank sheets of paper to all students. Then he says,
There's a lot of supposedly philosophical phrases on the internet that seem too pretentious, obvious, and stupid. People love to attribute quotes to famous persons that they never said. So there's a person who can say anything that can be true or false. They can say both good and bad things, and no one in the world can prove that this person didn't say that. The authorship of this person is unquestionable. Who is this person?
After 5 minutes, the students give back their papers. They all have names of famous athletes, scientists, billionaires, and entrepreneurs on them. No one has passed the exam except for one girl. She wrote just one word. Which one? Anonymous. You walk around the school and hear someone screaming. Several students are running away from the biology classroom. They say a poisonous snake has escaped from the terrarium, and now it's crawling in the room. It's too dangerous to have lessons here. You call the rescuers, but to catch the snake, you need to find it. Look around carefully and find the reptile. Take a look at the picture with snakes in the far corner of the room. One of these snakes is real, as its tail goes beyond the painting. Your next problem is in the parking lot. The professor of magic tells you that someone has punctured a tire on her car. Apparently, one of the students took revenge on the teacher for a bad grade on the exam. Fortunately, there's an extra tire in the trunk. But here's the problem. You don't have 4 bolts to attach it. How can you help the teacher? Unscrew one bolt from the other 3 wheels and attach them to the new one. Each of the 3 wheels has 3 bolts now. That's enough to get to the nearest car service. You come to your office to take a nap, but hear a sudden cracking noise. You find pieces of glass in the yard. Someone has broken a window on the 3rd floor with a stone. You need to figure out who did this among 3 suspects: a cook, a gardener, and a student. The cook says he was in the kitchen making burgers. The gardener claims that he was watering the roses in the garden. The student says he was sitting in the library at the time. Which one of them is lying? The gardener. One of the students has cut those roses, remember? So the gardener didn't have any roses to water. Finally, the day is coming to an end. All students have passed their exams and are going home. You walk through a long corridor and hear a knock. Several people are stuck in the gym and can't get out. They've lost their keys, and the door only opens from the outside. You need to help them, but where can you find the keys? You have the drawer in your office with the keys to all the school doors, remember? You unlock the gym. Then, you finally sit in your office and watch YouTube. You've solved all the problems. You deserve a good rest now. Driving through the country to visit their family. One day, late at night, they were on a lonely country road. That's when a powerful storm broke, and their car tire burst. They had to leave the vehicle to find help, but there was nothing, and no one around. Sometime later, they came across an old and spooky mansion that seemed abandoned, but the guys decided to try and see if anyone lived there and could help them. They arrived at the mansion gate. On a metal address plaque, it was written, "The House of Riddles." Gemma and Andy got suspicious, but they desperately needed shelter from the storm and some help with their car. So they decided to enter. But the gate was locked. There was a digital security keypad on it and nothing else. Suddenly, they heard a sound coming from the gate intercom. A voice said,
"The answer to this riddle of mine is the password you need to unlock the gate. I sleep by day and fly at night, but I have no feathers to aid my flight. What am I?"
"That's a bat." When the guys arrived at the door, they saw there was something engraved on it. "Stop right there, wanderer. Don't knock on the door just yet. For if you knock more or fewer times than you should, that you're gonna regret. Here's your second riddle. I am an odd number, but I become even if you take away a letter. What am I?" Gemma and Andy realized that the number equaled the number of times they had to knock on the door for it to open. Can you help them figure out the correct number? The answer is 7, so they had to knock on the door 7 times. A scary old butler opened the door and let the guys in. The door suddenly closed behind their backs and then just vanished into thin air. There were no doors in the room they had entered. The butler said, "Welcome, mortals, to your doom. To make it out of this house, you have to solve every riddle in every room. If you can't, you'll stay in this place forever. Here's your riddle for this room. Which bride is marrying this groom?" If they managed to figure out the answer, a door would appear. If they could not, well, too bad. Do you see the shadows behind them? The third bride's shadow is holding hands with the groom's shadow. They're in love, so she must be his chosen one. After they answered the riddle correctly, a door appeared in front of them. They got into the next room, which was a library. 3 books fell from a bookcase in front of their feet. Then they heard the butler's voice echoing, "You have to open one of these books, but choose wisely, because whatever creature the book mentions, it will appear here." If Gemma and Andy opened the first book, a venomous basilisk would come out. If they opened the second book, a giant piranha monster with razor-sharp teeth would appear in the library. If they opened the third book, a fire-breathing dragon would charge at them. Which book should they choose? Since the giant piranha is a water creature, it can't survive on land, so the guys should choose the second book. The library door opened, and they walked into the next room. It turned out to be a dining room. A large mirror covered one of its walls. Yet, the reflection of the room in the mirror had some differences from the real room. Can you spot them? The reflection of the deer statue in the mirror has more antlers. In the reflection, you can see someone hiding behind the curtains. But there's no one besides Gemma and Andy in the room. And lastly, in the mirror, one of the plates on the table is different from the others. But in the real dining room, all the plates are the same. Gemma and Andy felt very hungry. Thankfully, the next door that opened led them to the kitchen. There were 3 different chefs inside. The first chef was a zombie, the second one was a vampire, and the third chef was human. Each of them was holding a pie in their hands, but only one pie was safe to eat. Which one? Do you see the bugs coming out of the zombie chef's pie? Yikes! The pie that the human chef is holding is glowing in a weird way. Looks dangerous to me. So, they should choose the vampire chef's pie. Because that's not blood, that's cherry sauce on top. If it was blood, the vampire would have already eaten that. After they answered the riddle, 2 doors appeared in front of them. One of them had Gemma's name on it, and the other had Andy's. The butler sneaked behind the guys and pushed Gemma through the Gemma door, and Andy through the Andy door. Gemma fell down a pit and found herself in a mysterious garden. She accidentally woke a garden gnome who had been sleeping. He got very angry with her, and still, he agreed to let Gemma go if she answered his question correctly. He showed Gemma 3 tiny mushroom houses and asked which one was his home. Can you figure it out? Do you see the flower on the gnome's hat? The door handle of the second mushroom house handle is the same flower, so that must be his home. Andy, on the other hand, fell into a magical dungeon. The dungeon guard was an ogre, and he looked very pleased to finally have a prisoner. Yet he agreed to let Andy go if the guy chose the correct magical portal to escape. 2 magical portals appeared in front of him. Each of them led to a room. Andy had to stay inside the room of his choice for 5 minutes. The first room was full of poisonous gas that would knock him out in 4 minutes, and the second room was filled with water. If Andy opted for this room, he would have to be chained to the floor with the water rising really fast. In which room can the guy survive? Andy should choose the first room. He should take a breath and try not to breathe for a minute. After that, he'll have to wait for 4 minutes for the door to open, and then he can escape. Both Gemma and Andy were magically transported to the hallway after having answered their riddles correctly. They were happy to be together again. At the end of the hallway, there was a door, and in front of the door, a witch stood. She placed 3 long magic wands on the table in front of her and said,
You do not need to do anything to one of these wands. One you must break in half, and one needs to be even shorter than that half.
The witch added that they could only answer once, and if their answer was wrong, she wouldn't open the door. So, can you tell which wand should be the longest, which one they need to break into half, and which one needs to be the shortest? Do you see those spiders hanging from the ceiling? Since the door is shaped like a spider, they must be giving Gemma and Andy a hint. The silk thread that the first spider is hanging on is the shortest, so the first wand needs to be the shortest. The silk thread that the second spider is hanging on is the longest, which means that the second wand needs to remain as it is. And the silk thread that the third spider is hanging on is of a medium length, which means that the guys need to break the third wand in half. The witch opened the door and Gemma and Andy entered a bedroom. 3 spirits were floating inside. Each of them claimed to be the owner of the mansion. Gemma knew only one of them was telling the truth. Who is it? The spirit of the elderly lady is telling the truth. Why? Let's rewind a bit. Did you notice the portraits hanging on the walls in the hallway? There's a portrait of this very lady. That can only mean she used to be one of the owners of the mansion. The next stop was a living room. When they walked in, Andy saw something weird. What was it? A face appears and disappears in the fireplace. The guys entered a study next. What's so weird here? The fingers of this medieval knight's armor are tapping on the sword. The next room was a guest bedroom. What's weird here? The crystal ball is showing someone trapped in the basement. Gemma and Andy decided to take a look at the basement in case someone really needed help. Yet they had to crack another riddle to enter. There was a password panel and they needed to type in 7 digits to unlock the door. They had no idea what the passcode could be. Luckily, there was a note on the wall, and this word was written on it. What does it even mean? Turn the note upside down. What do you see now? The letters look like numbers, right? So the passcode is 1837837. There were 3 people in the basement who claimed to be trapped there, but only one of them was telling the truth. Who is that? Do you see the stitches on the elbows of this lady? She's a creepy rag doll, so she's lying. And this man has claws instead of fingers. He must be a shapeshifter or something. Then it must be this guy who's telling the truth, so Gemma and Andy took him with them. After the guys answered every riddle in every room correctly, the butler appeared again. "Thank you, travelers. Now you're free to go, but this you must know. All of us in this house are cursed. Answer this one last riddle for the curse to be reversed. Once we are finally free, we'll help you with your car too. You'll see. There are 9 people in front of you. One of them is a monster who cursed us. Tell us who." This guy has 2 horns that are hiding in his hair. He is not a human. He's a monster.